Let me tell you something most men never figure out until they have been broken enough times to finally wake up. The moment you stop caring, everything changes. Not because you suddenly became cold or heartless, but because you finally stopped bleeding energy into people who never deserved it. You stopped explaining yourself. You stopped chasing validation. You stopped living for approval. And that is when the power shifts. Because here is the brutal truth. Most of the world, women, friends, even family sometimes, only value what they can feel slipping away. And the second you stop caring, they feel it. Deeply. It is not about ego. It is about energy. And when you pull that energy back, everything in your life starts to rearrange itself around your new sense of value. So today, we are going to break down exactly what happens, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually, when you stop caring. Not when you pretend to stop caring. Not when you fake indifference. But when you truly detach. Because when you stop caring, you stop being controlled. And when you stop being controlled, you become unforgettable. At first, people do not believe you have changed. They think your silence is temporary, a mood swing, an attitude, a game. They expect you to come back, explaining yourself. Just like before. They expect you to text first, apologize, smooth things over, but this time, you do not. You stop over-explaining. You stop trying to be understood. You let the silence do the talking. And suddenly, that silence becomes deafening. People start noticing the absence of your attention. Your energy, your kindness, your availability. They start realizing how much of you they were consuming. And here is the twist, your silence creates mystery. Because when a man stops caring, he becomes unpredictable. And unpredictability breeds attraction, curiosity, and respect, all at once. Your absence starts saying what your words never could. I was never the problem. I was the piece you could not recognize. That is when they start missing you. Not because they love you, but because your energy used to make them feel significant. And now, they are starving for it. When you care too much, you chase. When you chase, you overgive. And when you overgive, you lose balance. But when you stop caring, truly stop, something strange happens. The energy reverses. The same people who ignored you start to notice you. The ones who played games suddenly become curious again. The same woman who once had the upper hand starts to feel uneasy. Because she can feel the difference between a man who is emotionally attached and one who is done. Here is what most men never realize. When you detach, you are not being cruel, you are creating contrast. See, emotions thrive on contrast. When you were always available, your presence was predictable. Predictability kills desire. But the moment you stop caring, you stop feeding that predictability. You give her, and everyone around you, something to feel again. And that feeling? That tension. That is what draws people back to you. Not your effort. Not your begging. Not your validation. It is your emotional control. Because control equals power. Here is where things get deep. When you stop caring, you start reflecting people's true intentions back at them. When someone tries to manipulate you, it does not work. When someone tries to guilt, trip you, you stay calm. When someone tests your patience, you do not bite. And that calmness drives people insane. Why? Because when they cannot move you emotionally, they are forced to face themselves. Your detachment becomes a mirror. It shows them their insecurities, their patterns, their dependence on your attention. They will try to provoke you, pull you back into the game. Get you emotional again, because emotional men are predictable men. But when you stay grounded, they start realizing something painful. You no longer need them. And the second you do not need someone, they start needing you. When you stop caring, people do not just let you go. They test you. They send a message out of nowhere. Hey, how have you been? They post something they know you will see. They try to pull an emotional reaction just to check if they still have control. But when you stop caring, you stop reacting. You respond, not emotionally, but neutrally. Short, calm, unbothered. Because you have realized the truth, not every message deserves your energy. Not every invitation deserves your time. Not every emotional bait deserves your reaction. And that is what separates the man who has mastered himself from the man who is still enslaved by attention. The moment you stop taking the bait, you stop dancing to other people's rhythm. You start moving to your own. And that is when the tests stop, because they no longer work. When you stop caring, you finally free up your most valuable resource, mental energy. The same energy you used to waste worrying about other people's opinions, you now use to build yourself. You hit the gym not to impress anyone, but to build discipline. You work on your goals not for praise, but for purpose. You invest in your peace instead of trying to please. And people notice that energy shift. They start saying things like, "You have changed. You are colder now. You are different." But what they are really saying is, "You stopped living for me." And that is the moment you realize, you were never meant to be everyone's source of comfort. You were meant to become your own. When you stop caring, you start building. And that is when real attraction and real respect start to form around you. Because a man focused on his purpose is magnetic. He does not chase, he draws. You want to know why most people disrespect nice guys? Because they feel his need. They sense he cares too much. That he will tolerate bad behavior. That he will explain himself even when he has done nothing wrong. But the man who does not care, he does not tolerate. He does not beg. He does not over-justify. He simply leaves. And that kind of quiet exit sends shockwaves. Because most people are addicted to being needed. When they meet someone who does not need them, it triggers them, but it also fascinates them. They start respecting your boundaries. They stop testing your patience. They adjust their tone when they talk to you. Because they have realized you have nothing to lose. That is the highest form of power a man can have. When you stop caring, the fake ones fall away. The ones who were only around because of what you provided, the validation, the attention, the energy, they drift. They cannot survive in your silence. But the real ones, they stay. They do not need constant reassurance. They value peace the same way you do. You start realizing that love is not about attachment, it is about alignment. And the only way to see who aligns with you is to stop overgiving. Your detachment filters your circle. You do not chase friendships. You do not beg for loyalty. You stop trying to convince anyone to stay. You simply observe. And the ones meant for you, they meet you in that stillness. Most men lose control, not because they are weak, but because they care too much about things they cannot control. Her texts, her tone, her mood, his approval, their opinion, society's standards. It is a trap. When you stop caring, you break out of that trap. You stop trying to change things outside of your control, and you master the only thing that ever mattered. Your internal state. You become emotionally bulletproof. No text ruins your mood. No rejection shakes your confidence. No loss defines your worth. Because you finally realize, peace is not found in control. It is found in detachment. And that calmness, that quiet confidence, is what makes people take notice. It is not arrogance. It is awareness. The world starts reacting to your energy instead of the other way around. Here is a paradox most men never understand. When you stop caring, you start attracting more. Because you are no longer seeking. You are radiating. People feel it. Your energy changes. You move differently, speak differently, and carry yourself with quiet authority. Women pick up on it immediately. They can sense when a man is operating from self-worth rather than self-doubt. When you stop chasing, you stop giving her emotional leverage. And that is when the dynamic shifts. She starts wondering what is different. Why she cannot read you anymore. Why you are not reacting the way she expects. And that mystery, that emotional uncertainty, reignites attraction. You become the rare man she cannot predict. And predictability is what kills desire. At the end of all this, something beautiful happens. You realize, peace is not found in having everything go your way. It is found in not caring when it does not. You stop fighting for closure. You stop explaining your worth. You stop needing validation from people who do not even validate themselves. And what is left is silence. But it is not empty, it is peaceful. That peace is your power. Because once you taste it, chaos starts to feel unattractive. You stop entertaining drama. You stop engaging with emotional games. You stop being drawn to temporary highs. You become grounded. And that is when life starts aligning with your energy. Opportunities appear. People respect you. Love becomes effortless because you are no longer chasing it. Here is the part no one talks about. When you stop caring, people always come back. Always. Not immediately, but eventually. Because your absence leaves a void that most cannot fill. They start realizing what your energy meant. They replay memories, conversations, moments when they did not appreciate you. They will text you again, call you again, try to test the waters. But this time, you are different. You do not respond from longing. You respond from peace. And that calm response, that unbothered energy, hits harder than any emotional reaction ever could. Because it shows you are no longer the same man they once had control over. And once a woman feels that shift, that emotional distance, that is when she starts chasing what she thought she did not need. Your peace becomes the thing she cannot forget. Let us be clear. Stopping caring does not mean becoming cold, emotionless, or disconnected from humanity. It means you stop over attaching. You still care, but selectively. You still love, but without losing yourself. You still give, but only to those who give back. That is maturity. That is masculine energy balanced with emotional intelligence. You realize your peace, your focus, your time. Those are sacred. You protect them. Because when you stop caring about the wrong things, you finally make space for the right ones. And that is the paradox of detachment. You stop needing, and everything starts coming to you naturally. When you stop caring, people think you have changed. But what they do not understand is, you finally came home to yourself. You stopped trying to be understood. You stopped explaining your worth. You stopped performing for love. You became the calm in the storm. And in that calmness, you discovered something that cannot be taken from you, self-respect. So if you are listening to this right now, wondering if letting go means losing, understand this. You never lose when you stop caring. You only lose when you care about things that do not care back. Walk in silence. Stand in strength. Stay grounded in peace. Because when you stop caring, you stop chasing. And when you stop chasing, you start attracting. Not people, not validation, but power.